Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a Zone 5B in mid-Michigan, and it is a beautiful day here in mid-Michigan. In fact, it is in the low 80s today, which is fantastic, and there's partly cloudy skies, so I thought we would do some of that editing I was talking about in our gardening tour. I also would like to get one of my Firelight Hydrangeas planted today. So we're going to take out some Arborvitaes. We are going to get that Firelight in, and we're going to remove a couple of hostas as well today. So let's get started. We're going to be working in the long border today. I have these two Arborvitae right here, and as you can see, the Arborvitae in the garden actually get really tall, and we have unfortunately some power lines and telephone wire and fiber optic that run through, and so things can only get so tall before they then run the risk of getting involved with those wires. And the wires are straight on top of these, so eventually I will have to take these out anyways. And so right now they're starting to get to the size where it's still easy to take them out, but eventually they're going to be pretty large and a little bit more unmanageable and harder to get out. So I thought today would be the ideal day to tackle this project. So we're going to actually take out both of these, and don't worry, I definitely have a good home for them to go to. So we always make sure that if we have the opportunity, oh my gosh, there's a hummingbird. Do you see it? Oh, it just stopped on the clematis. Anyways, if you didn't see it, rewind. It was on the clematis for just one moment, and then it flew away. That was so exciting. I lost track of my thoughts, but we are definitely going to get going on these today. We're going to take both of them out. When we take this one out on the left, it's going to give more room to this rose that is behind it to grow, a little bit more opportunity for some sunshine and some space, and I really enjoyed that rose, so we want to give that more space. The 9-bark here is a little devil 9-bark, and it's about as big as it's going to get, but it will definitely spread out some of its wings a little bit as well as we remove these. And then we're going to plant the Firelight right between the 9-bark and the Spirea that we moved over, because we have quite a bit more space here, and I do want to bring in some height to this area, and the Firelight can get about 6 to 8 feet tall and wide, so it should provide some nice height even above that little 9-bark. So we're definitely going to be working with root slayer shovels today, and they are always very handy. And I'm hoping I don't have to dig out these heucheras, because if I do and I have to replant them, it's going to be kind of unfortunate. So I'm going to actually dig rather close to the trunk of this root ball. We'll see how this goes. It looks like I might actually be in a little bit too close. We may end up having to lose a couple of these heucheras here. So I think what I'm going to do is actually just dig the one up that's in front of it. They come out so easy. They barely have any roots, heucheras. We'll just set that aside over here in the shade. Yeah, there we go. So you have to be about at least 4 to 6 inches away from the trunk here to be able to get good leverage. Whew, it is humid out today though, you guys. Honestly, the hardest part of this is just getting my body into these tight spaces to be able to get this out. I'm just using the saw edge of the shovel to kind of cut through some of the roots here, and I think that will do it. Wow, so that really opens up that space. I think that is fantastic. Just what I was hoping for. You can see I even have a hosta that's way hiding in the back there. And we'll probably get that heuchera back in here a little later today, but I want to keep digging and get this other Arborvitae out as well. Now I want to thank each of you who expressed concern and some kind words about making sure to be careful when you have a bee allergy in the garden, and I do really appreciate that. We certainly, take very good care. This just happened to be a bee's nest out in my front garden. I got stung because it was actually above my head. I'm kind of short. I'm only 5 feet tall, so a lot of things are over my head. And it just meant that I didn't actually see them flying in and out of the nest. And when I was cutting the branches on the weeping cherry, it disturbed their nest enough so that they were upset. And luckily I only got bit by one. We do have EpiPens on hand that we keep at home, so not to worry. And the wonderful thing is the guys actually came out last night to take care of the nest. And it's a wonderful free service. You should check and see if you have them in your area if you're able to. Basically, they take and they come out when the hornets are asleep at night. I think they came about 10 o'clock at night. And that way all of them are in the nest at the time, at least as many as possible. And they then take them and freeze them and sell them to companies that extract the venom from them for allergy shots. So it actually helps people like us who have allergies to bees. And it's a free service. And the guy came out and did it with his son. So what a wonderful way to help out. And who knows, my husband's been getting bee shots for years, or venom shots, so that he can prevent his bee allergy from causing anaphylactic shock. And so now we're giving back some venom that he might ever end up getting. Woo! Well, that feels fantastic to get done. Although I will say that it's a bit bare for me. It's a little shocking. I know I'll absorb it and I'll be just fine. So now I'm going to grab the Firelight Hydrangea and we're just going to put it right in this area where we took that Arborvitae out. Okay, so let's get this hole dug now. And because I need to dig such a big hole, I've actually set my root slayer shovel aside for now. And I'm just going to use a regular shovel for this part because it will do a better job of getting large scoops of soil out. And I'm actually going to be moving the hole back a little bit from where I just dug that Arborvitae out because I want it placed a little further back up against the fence here. So hopefully we don't run into too many roots or things that are in the way of me getting this hole dug. But the soil is nice and easy to dig here in this garden bed. So I don't necessarily need a tough shovel for it. This garden bed has been around for ever since pretty much I moved into the house. Okay, I think we've got the hole dug really nicely. Now, because it's so warm out today and because I want to make sure that this gets really well established, I'm going to fill this hole with some water before I put the Firelight Hydrangea in here. Now, in addition to this water, I am also going to put some biotone down in the hole just because this is the middle of July, it's hot, and I want these roots to get established. So I just have a terracotta pot that's probably a couple of cups full of biotone that I am going to put down into that hole. So I would consider this planting space to actually be about part shade because we do get some shade from the peach tree that is overhead as well as from the viburnum that's next to it, and it's kind of back in the border, so it doesn't get sunshine until a little later in the day. But that's perfectly fine with the Firelight Hydrangea. The Firelight Hydrangea is happy to have a little bit more cool, that way the blooms do not burn. And I think the direction I want it facing is right this way. Yep, that looks good. All right, now I'm just going to backfill with the native soil, not adding any compost or anything like that to this. Making sure that gets tucked in place really well. I feel like it's centered pretty good between the spirea and the 9-bark. I'm just making sure that the soil gets really well firmed in place. Can be a little bit of a trick to plant in this bed sometimes because it is on a slope back towards the fence. All right, let's see how this looks. Okay, I think we finally got it situated in the right spot where I like it. Now, I definitely am going to miss some of that deep green, fine textured foliage of the Arborvitae, but I can't have something that big in this garden bed. So I'll be keeping my eye out for, any new types of evergreens that have similar texture to that Arborvitae, but that don't grow quite so big. So if you all have any ideas, I love a good recommendation from someone who's already tried something and is enjoying it. But I do love a good research project and looking for new plants. I'm just really pushing down the soil into the cracks around this to make sure that it's down in there good. And then we're going to water this in. Sometimes I think the hardest part of some of these projects is trying to avoid damaging some of the other plants that are in the area, making sure that you get the placement right. And this is going to be a plant that I will be limbing up, very similar to my vanilla strawberry Sunday hydrangea, so that, you know, there's plenty of room underneath of it as well. This is the plant that I got on clearance, and so that's why some of the blooms are actually broken off. But I'm not worried about that at all. Those will bloom again next year. Well, we have a really good soak happening on that now, which I'm happy about, and I just think it looks really, really nice in this area. And the contrast of those blooms is going to look beautiful against the 9 bark. And I think that rose is going to be so much happier with the extra space, don't you? I'm definitely pleased with the way that this has turned out, and I can't wait for it to fill in and grow on. It will be fun to watch over the next couple of years for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this little project, and we probably are not going to get to the hostas today because I am just overheated and done. So I'm going to go inside and get a nice glass of cold water and take a quick break, and maybe I'll come out here and do the hostas later. All right, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.